大家晚上好，欢迎大家准时来到我们的园林开放日直播间，我是今晚的主持人月游，很高兴呢又和大家在周二的晚上见面了。在本期的园林开放日呢，我们将为大家介绍一个致力于简化用户生活的特别项目 Peeranha。Peeranha 是第一个完全去中心化的知识问答平台，它建立在 Rose 区块链和 IPFS 的文件系统上。这里有来自生活各个领域的充满激情的专家，随时准备帮助他人。用户可以通过帮助成千上万的人回答他们比较有经验的问题。近期呢，他们也是推出了第一个 Peeranha 的 Telegram 机器人。当 Peeranha 上出现新问题的时候，一个机器人会在 Telegram 群组中发布一条消息，用户很快可以通过 Telegram 机器人来提问和回答问题，不需要手动打开每个帖子检查是否有人回答、评论或者投票。所有的通知呢都在同一个地方，所有的问题都直接显示在 Telegram 的频道上。在节省大量的时间的同时呢，让分享知识和获得奖励也变得更加的容易。Hello everyone, welcome to our first open day. I'm tonight's host Koana, and I'm happy to see you on again on Tuesday night. At this first open day, we are going to inform you of a unique project designed to make consumers' life simpler, Piranha. Piranha is the first fully decentralized questions and answer platform built on the Zelos blockchain and the IPFS field system. Passionate experts from many walks of life are gathered here and ready to assist others. By assisting thousands of others with questions that they might also have, users can repel the fever. They also recently debuted the first Piranha Telegram bot, which published a message to Telegram groups whenever a new issue on Piranha releases. Users will soon be able to use Telegram bots to ask and respond to the questions. All alerts are in one place, and all questions are shown right on the Telegram channel. So there's no need to manually open each post to see whether someone has responded, committed, or voted. It reduces time spent and make it simpler to share information and receive rewards. 好的，那接下来我们跟随 Piranha CTO Sergey 的讲述，一起来了解一下这个 Web3 上的 Q&A 专家级项目吧。Let's listen to Piranha CTO Sergey's discussions about the Web3 Q&A, an excellent project.
Hello everyone, my name is Sergey Ilin and I'm CTO and Co-founder of Peeranha. Today I would love to tell you how we are at Peeranha using IPFS, why it is important to use IPFS for applications like Peeranha, and how other decentralized applications can benefit from using IPFS. Let me start off with explaining you what is Peeranha and why we are building it. So, Peeranha is a knowledge sharing protocol for Web3. In simple words, it's Stack Overflow or Stack Exchange, but built specifically for Web3 communities, with Web3 communities philosophies in mind. It is fully decentralized. Users own the content that they create on the protocol, and there's various incentives for the users to contribute. We started building Piranha because of my personal pain. I've been building software in the blockchain space for 6+ years now, and finding technical information, some actionable solutions on the blockchain technology was very difficult. It was significantly more difficult than in traditional software development. But why is it so? I was talking to other developers in the Web3 space, and they all experiencing the same problem. Why are we lacking information about blockchain technology and Web3? So the answer is that we use different tools. Web3 communities use Discord, Telegram, Slack, WeChat as a primary tool for communication and knowledge exchange. But there is a problem with using those tools. They seem convenient and they are convenient in many ways, but all of the information and knowledge that we're exchanging there, it's not searchable. It's not, it cannot be discovered through search engines. Information in those channels is not structured, it's not easy to navigate it, And all of the answers that are given in Slacks, Telegrams, they are not created. We don't know if they were good or bad, even if we find some answers that were given to someone else. So, but why can't we use the better tooling? Like, isn't there a tool out there? So something like Stack Overflow that is very popular in the traditional software development is not used as widely in the Web3. One of the reasons is that Stack Overflow has a limit, like requirement on the size of the community before they can create their own kind of sub Q&A, sub Stack Exchange. The biggest Web3 projects like Ethereum, Solana, EOS, they have their own Q&As, but it's a lot of effort, a lot of work to create your own Q&A on Stack Exchange, and majority of Web3 projects are just too small for that. So once they realize the problem and the need for the forum, a lot of times Web3 projects go to Discourse, but that tool is very Web2, it's very centralized and lacks a lot of features that motivate users to actually contribute and participate on those forums. So that's why we started building Piranha. There's no other tool out there that would satisfy the needs. And since we're building Piranha for Web3 communities, we wanted to be aligned with philosophies of Web3. We want to solve not only that immediate need for the tool, but we also want to solve that long-term problem of the content and knowledge ownership. On Piranha, users own the content that they create on the protocol. We are working on various ways to allow users to monetize that content. A reputation that they're earning on the protocol stays on chain, and they can take it to other decentralized application or integrate it as a proof within other applications. And we're finding the ways to recognize the users for their contributions. So Piranha solves all of these needs. It's fully decentralized. Users earning various NFTs. We are adding rewards in various communities, tokens. In general, the content is fully decentralized, built on top of Polygon blockchain currently, and IPFS and Filecoin. So before I move on, I would like to give you a quick demonstration on how Piranha looks like, so you have better understanding how it looks and how it functions. For someone who is familiar with Stack Overflow or Stack Exchange, the interface is very similar. We are trying to make it super easy for users to start using Piranha. We're not requiring users to set up any wallets for the Logos wallet, and this wallet allows to sign in with Google, email, and other social media accounts. So there is no need to set up any MetaMask extensions or anything, but if users prefer, they can absolutely do that. But let's take a look at the option where I'm signing in with my Gmail, and Taurus is handling all of the keys. So I'm just signing in with my Google account, and that's it. Moreover, Piranha doesn't require users to buy any coins to pay for the transaction fees. As you can see, my wallet has zero balance of Matic, and Piranha covers all of the transaction fees on the protocol. But let's take a look at the interface a little bit more. So Piranha is a little different from Stack Exchange in the sense that we have various types of the posts. We have discussions for less technical questions and answers, more like opinion exchange and review. But expert Q&A would be the closest to Stack Exchange. It's very technical questions that require expertise to provide the answer. And if we look at the structure of that post, it's done in a way that it's very easy to find the most helpful answer. So there is a concept of the best answer that is always appearing at the top. All of the remaining answers are sorted by the number of the upvotes, and users are allowed to post only one answer for each question. This way, there is no need to go through long threads to find the most useful information. And also, comment section is separate from the answers. It's less visible on the screen and takes less attention from someone who's finding to find helpful information on that page. And in addition to that, we added tutorials which provide an explanation on certain things. User can set up various how-to guides and so on. For example, let's take a look at Piranha Meta. This post will explain how to create account on Piranha, and this user provided the short explanations for the community, and every time somebody uploads this post, that user earn reputations, and later on will be earning rewards as well. So this is one part of the applications, the posts. Another important part is communities. Piranha is not a single community where all of the questions go into the same bucket. The interface that we are looking at right now is an aggregator of the content from all of the communities, but Piranha is actually broken down into sub-communities. So each of the communities have their own sub Q&A website. Let's take a look at this Koi network website. Their Q&A has only posts related to Koi. It's styled and branded differently, and it's located on different subdomain. But for developers who participating and contributing in various communities, they can subscribe to all of the communities they are interested in and just interact with all of the communities from a single interface. Another very important part of Piranha is reputation for the users. If I take a look at my profile, you can see all of the communities where I contributed as a user, reputation that I earned within those communities, along with the history of all of my posts and all of my answers. And for contributing there, I'm earning, first of all, reputation, and I'm earning NFTs. So currently Piranha gives out to the users limited edition NFTs. Later on, we will be introducing soul-bound NFTs as well that represent the status of users within certain communities. So that's how Piranha looks on the surface. Our goal is to make sure that it's very easy to use and its user experience is close as possible to traditional Web2 applications. But it's important to understand that under the hood, Piranha is fully decentralized. Let me take a look at any of the posts. Let's say we take a look at that post and look at the source of it. So we can see all of the transactions related to that post, transaction that created that post, transaction where a reply was posted, and the content of that post. So content of the post is stored on the IPFS and Filecoin. Yeah, that was the quick overview of the interface. And now let's talk about tech stack. So as I mentioned, Piranha is built on top of blockchain and IPFS. And I think it's very important to understand the relationship between blockchain and decentralized storage and how strategically use both. When I think about blockchain, I think of it as some compute power plus a database. And it's important to understand that compute is expensive on the blockchain, but database on the blockchain is even more expensive. Like whenever a transaction is submitted on the blockchain, the fee of the transaction is charged for different calculation operations plus storage used by the transaction. And in majority of the cases, storage is more expensive than compute, unless transaction does some crazy mathematical calculations. Storage will always be more expensive than compute performed by that transaction. So we need to be very mindful what we store on the blockchain, what information needs to be stored on the blockchain and important to be stored on the blockchain. So for that reason, my approach to that is putting on the blockchain storage only the information that is valuable for the business logic, or information that actually needs to be, like, sometimes you have to verify that this information was posted specifically by the sender of the transaction, as a proof that information was actually submitted by someone. But you always need to be mindful what information makes sense to put in the smart contracts and store on the blockchain, and which information is not important. So if we look at the Piranha example, the content itself, the content of the post, is not important for the business logic within the smart contracts. It doesn't matter what text exactly was posted by the users. What's important is reaction of the community, if the community upvoted that post or downvoted that post. But at the same time, we still need to know association between the post and the content that was posted with that transaction. So we still need to maintain that relationship between information on the blockchain and the content, but the content itself doesn't have to be on the blockchain. And at the same time, we want that content to be stored in a decentralized way. The goal of Piranha to be fully decentralized application. If some parts of the applications of that application is decentralized, like stored on the blockchain, but let's say text content is centralized and stored somewhere on AWS on our centralized servers, in that case we cannot speak about decentralization, because if Piranha as a company goes away and takes down all of its AWS storage, then Piranha becomes useless. Like all of the content itself is disappearing, right? So we need to find content storage that is not expensive as a blockchain, but at the same time that can store the content in a decentralized way and can be referenced from the blockchain from within the smart contracts. So in that case, IPFS is actually the great solution. And if we look at the tech stack of Piranha, it's gonna look something like that. So we have smart contracts on Polygon, and let me just open in a tab some quick example. So this is the structure within the smart contracts on Piranha that contains information about the post. So you can see that all of the information that is important for the business logic is stored on the blockchain. But for the content itself, we don't have to store the content. All we need to do is just store the reference to CID on the IPFS. This field will store CID of the related document with the content of that post that is stored on IPFS. So this CID will give us the proof that this post was originally created with the content that is matching CID on the IPFS. We can be sure that this content was not changed, and we can always retrieve it from the decentralized storage IPFS in a way that it was posted by the user. So if we go back to that context on Polygon, but the text content is actually stored on the IPFS, and the content is just referenced by CID from the smart contracts. So these two parts. So we have this smart contracts part and Filecoin IPFS, and smart contracts referencing files on Filecoin and IPFS. And just to give you an example, again, coming back to that post, you can see that this post stores text content on the IPFS, and here's that JSON document with the fields related to that post, title and content. This CID is just recorded on blockchain on that post object. If we look at the reply, we will see the similar thing. So the source of this reply It's also JSON document with the content that is stored on IPFS. And from the blockchain perspective, there is a CID that is being stored on the IPFS, but we don't have to store the whole content, and we're saving a lot of storage on the blockchain and saving lots and lots of transaction fees. But now we have the interface, and that interface has to be robust to provide users with a good experience. For example, whenever I want to sort something by the community, we need to be able to pull it from blockchain and Filecoin IPFS very quickly. And it's impossible to do that by also referencing that information on Filecoin and IPFS. That would be very inefficient. But at the same time, the solution that we use, we would love it to be ideally decentralized. And that's, for someone who is not familiar with the graph, it's the indexing solution. And this is the graph protocol. It allows to call what's called subgraphs that can handle events on the blockchain and pull data from the IPFS into that same index. So if we'll, let's say, actually we can take a look at the user as well. Actually, no, I would love to take a look at the posts. Let's take a look at the posts. So we have the posts, and one of the fields of the posts, you can see that there is a title and the content. You remember that title and content were stored in IPFS and Filecoin, right? But all other fields are stored on the blockchain. For example, author, rating, post time, all of those fields are stored within the blockchain. So the graph allows us to create that index that contains data from both blockchain and IPFS. And in addition, if we want to add additional calculations that are not important to be stored on the blockchain, but important for the UI, we can also add these calculations into this layer and then query that layer from the UI. So let's take a look at the title and the content. First, okay, so these are the posts that it pulled, and as you can see, title and content is everything in that same index. So, and the graph allows to query that information from subgraph using GraphQL interface that is quite convenient and easy to use. So this is that piece, index, decentralized index on the graph. So whenever the application needs to pull information, it doesn't go to blockchain directly. It queries that index layer that already has information from both blockchain and Filecoin IPFS, and we can add manipulations to that layer. We can sort, we can filter, and so on. So, and the last piece here is that application that you open up whenever you type in Peeranha.io in your browser, which is a React.js application, single page application. And that application, when it displays the information on the page, it will query the subgraph on the graph. But whenever it needs to send transaction to the blockchain, or whenever some action needs to happen on the protocol, for example, user creates the post. In that case, it will save data to IPFS and Filecoin, and then will send transaction to Polygon blockchain. Just to mention, Peeranha is planning to go multi-chain. The blockchain that is supported at the moment is Polygon, but we see our future as multi-chain. So in that case, there will be multiple instances of the smart contracts on different chains, but Filecoin IPFS would still be the storage for the content. And the indexing solution would also be a single one kind of that indexes information from all of those smart contracts. So there's some the graph doesn't support all of the blockchains that we need. That might be a solution that we will be still looking for, but this is kind of the architecture that we're looking at in the future. One important part here is when we mentioned IPFS and Filecoin. So why IPFS is not enough? And why do we need Filecoin? If someone is not familiar, so IPFS is this decentralized storage, but it's storage that doesn't have any incentives. There is no incentive for IPFS node to store certain files. And of course, there's no single IPFS node that can store all possible files. And for that reason, because IPFS nodes have limited capacity, they typically store all of the pinned posts that are specifically what were told by the owner of that node that these files have to stay on that IPFS node forever, or those files that are most frequently used or requested by the peers. And there is a chance that if some content is not pinned and is infrequently used, then it can disappear from the IPFS network completely, or it will be very slow to retrieve if only very few IPFS nodes have that information. And this is the problem that Filecoin is solving by adding that incentives layer on top of the IPFS and providing incentives for storage providers to store the files and provide APIs that are fast to retrieve information from that decentralized storage layer. So that's why IPFS is very important, but Filecoin solves very critical needs to make IPFS usable in production. Like we want our data whenever it's stored in the decentralized storage, we want to be confident that that information will never disappear. All right, moving on a little bit from the technical side. So we spoke about Piranha in general, we spoke about technical stack of Piranha, but I would like to talk a little bit user adoption in the Web3 space. I think it's very important topic, and we have to mention it. I think it's very important whenever we're building new decentralized application to build not just a version of some existing tool in the Web2 space, but build it in a decentralized way without much other differences. Right? It has to do something much better than Web2 competitor to get that adoption. So, and I would love to give you our secret sauce that we have at Piranha that we think is our path to mass adoption. And yeah, it is some features and some ecosystem that we are planning around Piranha that we think will make it much better than all of the existing tools in the Web2 space. But in addition, Piranha is built in a decentralized way and follows all of the philosophies of Web3. So let's take a look at this diagram. This is the diagram that describes current flow of the knowledge exchange in any typical Web2 community. So Web3 community, apologies. So that Web3 project typically would have documentation website, most probably in English. And a lot of times this is the only source of the information that would be indexed by search engines like Google. And then those projects would have Telegrams, Discords, and Slacks, and this is where majority of the communication happens. And if we look at this diagram, we see a lot of silos, like people communicating in Telegram don't see what's happening in Discord. Discord might have different channels for different languages, and those people communicating in those language channels have no idea what happens in other language channels. And we have lots of silos that are closed, not indexed by any of the search engines, where information is not searchable, not structured, not curated, and just disappearing over time. And once projects realize that this is the problem and they're losing a lot of valuable knowledge, they typically would add some forum. The biggest would target for Stack Exchange, but the smaller Web3 projects who are not big enough to start their own Q&A on Stack Exchange would use something like Discourse. And they start actively pushing people away from Telegram, Discord, and Slack to that forum. But users don't want to go there. They don't see incentives. Why would they ask their question somewhere else when it's so convenient to do that in Discord or Telegram, as they see it as the shortest path to the answer? So our approach at Piranha is different. Instead of pushing people away, we would like to integrate with those tools that users are comfortable using today. We are adding bots for Telegram, Discord, and Slack that allow to post and reply directly from those channels. Additionally, we see that Web3 communities are international. There's people speaking all kinds of languages in Web3 space. That's why we're adding automatic translations to Piranha as well. And once there's enough knowledge base built on Piranha, it will be very valuable to create that engine that allows to get answers automatically. Whenever users ask the question, that engine can look it up and provide the answer that is closest matching to that question. So let's take a look at one example how it will look like. Let's say we have a person who speaks English and prefers to communicate in Telegram. That person asks the question on Telegram, and all that he or she needs to do is just include the Telegram bot in that message. So the bot will know that this is the question that needs to be created on Piranha as well. It will create it here automatically, that on protocol layer that I just explained and showed you. So it will be visible on the web interface immediately for someone who likes to monitor that web interface. But then it will be translated to languages that are interesting for that community. So it will be converted to those languages automatically. And then other bots on Discord and Slack will see that there is a new question and its version in different languages, and will automatically notify channels subscribe to those notifications in appropriate languages. And let's say we have a person who prefers to speak Chinese and prefers to use Discord. That person will see a notification and be able to just reply to that notification with their answer. And Discord bot will post that answer as a reply to that question automatically on Piranha, where that reply will also be automatically translated to all of the additional languages, and the person who asked the question in Telegram in English will get their reply in English as well, even though that reply was provided by someone who replied in Chinese from Discord. So it's already important that we close the gaps between users of Telegram and Discord and speaking different languages. But what is more important is that all of this valuable knowledge is now recorded on the protocol. And from there, it can be searched. It is stored in a structured manner, and it can be curated and improved by the community. So we see it as very important part of the game. It's not the biggest value is not just one person asking and another person answering. The biggest value is thousands of the users who have the same question coming back to already prepared answer and spending just seconds to get that answer. So this is our vision that we're working towards, that will be fully available within a couple of months. Yeah, I think that's all for my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, I would love to chat. My contact information is here on the slides. Yeah, would love to hear from you. Thank you very much and have a great day or night. Bye bye.
好的，非常感谢 Sergey 的精彩分享。在 Piranha 呢，分为一般问题和专家问题。一般问题更多的呢是关于主观意见的交流、头脑风暴等等。 与一般问题不同，专家问题需要特定主题的知识和经验，或者研究相关专业知识。这些问题呢，通常更难回答。同时呢，它也能获得更高的奖励。早加入呢，意味着享受更高级别的奖励，奖励每周分发给所有贡献者。尽早加入意味着您对早期社区的开拓性贡献。也将获得更高级别的奖励。欢迎大家呢都来深度体验一下这个项目。那本期的原力开放日呢就到这里了，我们下周二晚7点同一时间不见不散。Awesome, Sergey. Thanks for your excellent sharing. There are general questions and specialist questions on Piranha. General inquiries are more about brainstorming, subject opinion sharing, etc. Expert questions demand subject specific knowledge, experience, or investigation, in contrast to broad questions. These questions are more challenging to answer, but the benefits are greater. Early enrollment entitles you to big prize, which are given out each week to all donors. If you join early, you interest and contributions to the early community will be renewed to more highly. And you are welcome to get to know it well. So that's everything about today. I hope you all enjoyed, and we will see you guys the same time next Tuesday. See ya, bye bye.